Good morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio, so with Pokemon Card 151, or Scarlet Violet 151, as it is over in English, releasing this weekend, I need to give you my usual warning. And it is a warning I've given you before, ladies and gentlemen, and it is a warning I need to keep giving because I keep seeing it happening. Stop buying singles of Pokemon Card Scarlet and Violet 151. Not a good idea, ladies and gentlemen. Not a good idea. Right now is the worst possible time to be buying singles of Scarlet and Violet 151. It's a very, very, very bad idea. Because now there isn't a pre-release for this, like there is for most sets. But what we do have is the set just releasing now. And actually, a lot of people got this set a day or two early. I saw a bunch of stores stocking it. The Pokemon Center sent a bunch of their orders out, which arrived on the Thursday rather than the Friday. So, yeah, I've already got my Elite Trainer box. I'm going to be heading to my local game store to pick up a poster collection this weekend. There is an Okacheke Bulbasaur promo. What am I going to do? Not pick up the Okacheke Bulbasaur promo? That's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Don't even suggest such a thing. But it means that the hype is at the maximum level. And over the next few weeks, we are going to see so many cards being opened for this set. It's going to be ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely ridiculous. And the more packs are open, the more singles are going to be out there. You know, we've actually got booster bundles this time round. Just buying 6 packs at the price of 6 packs. We've never had that for a special set before. We've always had stuff like, for instance, a poster collection, where you're paying the price of 3 packs, but then you're paying a few quid more because you're getting the poster and the promos of the first partner Pokemon. It's worth it, don't get me wrong. I am delighted at the opportunity to pay a couple extra quid for these 3 promos and a poster. But now that we've got things like the booster bundle, it is going to be easier than ever to go and just pick up packs of this set. And that means that a lot more cards are going to be out there, and it's going to be kind of, yeah. And you might be thinking, come on, what's this? It's been a while now, mate. There is no way people are still massively, massively overpaying for these cards. You would be wrong, ladies and gentlemen. You would be wrong. And let's start off, like we always do, with the Charizard. The special illustration rare Charizard from 151. Well, that's going to be a sensible price, isn't it, Wassy? No. People are trying to sell the Charizard for $150. That is currently, now that you'll see a couple that are a little bit less and a couple that are a little bit more, but $150 is roughly what people are trying to sell this Charizard for at the moment. And I know what some of you are thinking. Well, come on, Wassy, you know. No one's paying $150 for that Charizard. That would be ridiculous. Well, if we look at the first few sales, if we go back far enough, people are paying more than that. The first 2 sales, essentially from people who found them in pack super early, actually sold for $350. Now, this is clearly ridiculous. But, as I've said before, if you buy the first one, maybe you can get the first graded one, and then you're selling the first graded one, so I understand why people would do that. It's still absolutely ridiculous, but I do understand why people would do it. But, like, literally yesterday, there were 3 sold in a row. Now, one sold for $99. That is at least a lot more reasonable. But there were ones either side of it that sold for around $150. One sold for $150, one was best offer accepted, so sold a little bit less. But yeah, that's clearly utterly, utterly ridiculous. And I know that this is the point in the video where some of you start going, Wassy, it's a Charizard, mate. You've got to know that Charizard is going to be silly, and no, I don't. Now, I know that this Charizard is going to remain probably the number 1 card in the set. That I understand. But let's take a look at the Charizard from Brilliant Stars. Well, that kind of jumped up initially to like $210. It's now a $120 card. $130 card. And it came down significantly. Huge. I mean, look at the graph. The graph is basically just a line down. That's basically what we're seeing here, just a sharp line down. Because even Charizard cards, that we know is going to be the most expensive card in the set, I am not arguing about that for a second. We know that it is going to retain decent value compared to the other cards in the set. I am not arguing about that for a second. They are absolutely true. But I also know that the price of this Charizard is going to crash. What's that? One Charizard example is not enough. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen. I've got another one for you. How about the Charizard EX that just came out in Obsidian Flames? Number one card in the set. What has happened to that since the release of Obsidian Flames? Yeah, it's gone from a $280 card to a $70 card. Shout out to TCG Player for the graphs here. So, basically, I've just shown you the last two, like, fancy Charizard, you know, the special art rare, special illustration rare, all of that. And, yeah. It's not really going great, is it? They both crashed in value after release. Because even a Charizard is not going to hold that much value. And one thing which I think is important to note, since we went to the Scarlet and Violet era, singles are not holding their value nearly as well as they were in the Sword and Shield era. And I think part of that is increased pull rates. Now, in Obsidian Flames, one of the things to note is we had very few special illustration rares because it was based on one Japanese set, which means your chances of pulling the special illustration where you wanted was significantly increased. Well, in Obsidian Flames, we had 6 special illustration rares. We had the aforementioned Charizard, but then we had the Pokémon, Ice-Cube, Revavroom, and Pidgeot, and then we had the supporter cards Geeta and Poppy. That was it. 6 special illustration rares in the set, which explains why the value of that Charizard has come down so much, because if you're pulling a special illustration rare, it's a 1 in 6 chance it's Charizard. There's 7 in 151. We've got the aforementioned Charizard, and then we got Venusaur, Blastoise, and Alakazam. And then we got Zapdos, Erika's Invitation, and Giovanni's Charisma. There is 1 extra. So I expect in this set, just like in Obsidian Flames, the relatively low number of special illustration rares, compared to some sets at least, is going to drive the price of these down. So even if you want to look at what I've just told you about Charizard now and go, yeah, Wassy, but it's quite low to begin with, really just means it's going to get brilliant very, very quickly. I am absolutely convinced that these singles are going to end up crashing in price, just like we saw with Obsidian Flames, and that makes me super duper duper happy indeed. We can look at a few more examples if you wish of cards that are selling for way too much. Obviously the Mew doesn't count because that is coming in our Ultra Premium collection. Well, it is again being listed for ridiculous prices. Now, a lot of these are actually going up as auction right now, which I find very interesting. But we've got a bunch of listings that are around about, it's hard to find a couple in a row to get a decent screenshot, frankly, ladies and gentlemen. Here's a couple in a row, one for 150 and one for 90. Which it is absurd. Absolutely flat out absurd. But again, we can play the whole hang on a second, Wassy, is anybody actually buying these games? And yes, they are. If we go back to, the original, when the first ones were actually getting out there and people were finally buying English versions, remember the Japanese version is extremely expensive, so you're not getting a bargain there. But yeah, the first English versions, you're looking at $215 and $170. Interestingly enough, the 170 was only 1 bid, but the 215, there were like 7 bids on there. So it did get bid up to that point. People were paying the 170 to over 200 mark for the first couple of copies, which I understand. Again, people might want to get them graded, etc. That's fine, but it's also ridiculous. Even the last couple were selling for like $80, which again is frankly silly. $80 is way too much for this card. Now, if you want a special illustration rare that will hold value, we do actually have one. It's Iono. And to be fair, Iono does hold value. And frankly, if you could find an Iono for like $80 right now, that'd be pretty cool. But even Iono crashed in price on release. Went from $175 down to it's about a $90 card at the moment. But the thing about Iono is we've got spectacularly popular character. Seriously, go to any Pokemon event and you'll see a couple of people in Iono cosplay. And we've got super duper playable card that is 2 to 4 of in like every deck right now. That is why Iono holds its value. But we could look at something like Miriam, and I love looking at Miriam as an example, right? Because Miriam, I told you, was going to be a sub $50 card, and basically a bunch of people called me stupid and said Miriam would never be a sub $50 card. The idea was ridiculous. It was a $265 card on release. The market price is now at $41.65 on TCG Player, but you'll notice the last one sold for $35. Special illustration rare supporters outside of Iono, who is an exception, do not hold their value at all. So sure, Erica's Invitation right now at $80 might look fine compared to Iono. It's going to be like a $30 card. I feel pretty confident it's going to be like a $30 card. And I will come back and gloat about this in a few weeks if it is. And I'll tell you I'm wrong if I was, frankly. But yeah. Once again, the set is out. The hype is real. Stop buying singles. I guarantee, ladies and gentlemen, all of these are going to crash in price over the next week or two. If you've got cards you want to sell, now is a wonderful time to sell them. If you've got a reason to buy them now, go ahead and buy them. I'm not your dad, do what you want, unless you're Daisy Archer or Ruben, in which case it's weird you're watching this video. But if you want to buy singles and you don't need them right now, give it a couple of weeks. I promise you'll be glad you waited. Right, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what you need to know, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me which cards you picked up. Tell me which cards you want to pick up. Tell me anything you want to tell me in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.